This is Ian Tomlinson, the man in the foreground. He was a newspaper vendor from London, and on the 1st of April 2009, he died at the G20 protests in London. He had an encounter with the man behind him. He was PC Simon Harwood, a police officer with London's Metropolitan Police Force. Now, moments after this image was shot, Harwood struck Tomlinson with a baton, and he pushed him to the ground, and Tomlinson died moments later. But that wasn't the story that police wanted us to tell. Initially, through official statements and off-the-record briefings, they said that Ian Tomlinson had died of natural causes. In fact, they said that when police tried to resuscitate him, that police medics were impeded from doing so because protesters were throwing missiles, believed to be bottles, at police. But you can see here the bottles that were supposedly being thrown at police were turned into bricks by the time they reached this edition of the newspaper. So we were suspicious, and we wanted to see if there was more to the story. So how do you find the witnesses? And this is what, for me, where it got really interesting. We turned to the internet, and I discovered that Twitter was a microblogging site. It enabled me to send out short 140-character messages, also an amazing search facility. But it was a social arena in which other people were gathering with a common motive, and in this case, independently of journalists, people themselves were interrogating exactly what had happened to Ian Tomlinson in his last 30 moments alive. Individuals like these two guys. So they went to Ian Tomlinson's aid after he collapsed. They phoned the ambulance. They didn't see any bottles, they didn't see any bricks. So they were concerned that the stories weren't quite as accurate as police were claiming them to be. For us, this was enough to investigate further, to dig deeper. The result was putting out stories ourselves. And after 6 days, we managed to track down around 20 witnesses. And then something changed. I got an email from an investment fund manager in New York. On the day of Ian Tomlinson's death, he'd been in London on business, and he'd taken out his digital camera, and he'd recorded this.
This is the crowd at the G20 protest on April the 1st, around 7:20 p.m. They are on Cornhill, near the Bank of England. This footage will form the basis of a police investigation into the death of this man. Ian Tomlinson was walking through this area, attempting to get home from work. Ian Tomlinson had his back to riot officers and dog handlers, and was walking away from them. He had his hands in his pockets. Here the riot officer appears to strike Tomlinson's leg area with a baton. He then lunges at Tomlinson from behind. Tomlinson is propelled forward and hits the floor.
And within 15 hours, we put it on our website. The first thing police did was they came to our office, senior officers came to our office and asked us to take the video down. We said no. It would have been too late anyway, of course, because it had traveled around the world. And the officer in that film, in 2 days' time, will appear before an inquest jury in London.